So a buddy of mine asked me, hey, can you build an icon editor for me?
Yeah, uppercut, punches got him busting up, potion in his double cup, liquor got him buttered up. Yeah, not my competition, every track is like I got bubble guts, fast life.
Okay, so a buddy of mine asked if I could build an icon editor that was something like Disco Tools. For those unaware, Disco Tools is an icon editor that allows you to make role icons for Discord. It's a genuinely good tool that has a lot of features, and it's a big shout out to the guy who developed it. Your name is somewhere over here. You built something that was actually amazing. Congrats. So this friend of mine was doing whatever Discord moderators do at 2 o'clock in the morning and decided it was a great idea to ask if they could have a couple features implemented to Disco Tools. Now, me coming at this, being a sane individual, decided it was going to be a great idea to fork the repository, add a couple bits and pieces here and there, add this one feature, ship it, and then go right back to bed. But there was one small problem. It's closed source. There's nothing to fork, nothing to clone, nothing to work off of, which means my plan was dead on fucking arrival. So that leaves me sitting here with requests that I already said yes to, and the easy path in front of me just miraculously disappearing. And that leaves me only with one option: to build the entire fucking thing by myself from scratch. So as a person with zero self-control, I decided, yeah, you know what, that's fine. I'll just build the entire project. It took me 2 weeks to build that icon editor alone. The shapes, the layers, the 200,000 plus searchable icons, the gradients, the image uploads, all of this so you could build icons for Discord. What the actual fuck am I doing with my life? To be fair, the people that were providing me feedback throughout the duration of this project were actually some really cool people. It does suck though that these group of people and their server was getting shut down midway through the development of this. So the people I was now writing this for don't exactly have a server anymore. So the responsible thing that I should be doing is stopping development. As you can see, I'm making this video. I did not stop. I looked at this icon editor that I just spent 2 weeks building and this Discord server that is now falling apart, and decided, fuck it. You know what? We might as well just build a Discord bot to automatically put these icons on roles. That then spiraled into, why don't I build a ticket system? And then that spiraled into, why don't I add moderation? And then custom branding. Now, the more research I did into this, the more I realized that tools like Ticket Tool and Sapphire already really had this covered. But I was already so far deep down this delusional rabbit hole that it didn't matter at that point. And that's how a favor has turned into a month and a half of effort. So this project is 2 things in a trench coat pretending to be one thing. So the website's written entirely in React and TypeScript, and it lives on Cloudflare's pages, which means that I have to do 0 work maintaining the servers to keep it online. But the other half, the Discord bot, is where things started to get a little bit complicated. The website's called Cressley, and the bot was originally called Zulu. And these words have 0 fucking relations to one another. Do I ever plan on changing the codebase names? No, because that requires effort. Now, the bot runs in a Docker container on a server that I pay actual money for, alongside its little baby database like a grown adult. Now, these 2 halves have to talk, and I refuse to do it the easy way because I have some sickness in me. Now, the website can't just call my server and feed the bot API information because it's not publicly facing on the internet. I'm not going to explain to the internet what my security practices are for obvious reasons, but rest assured, you can't reach it publicly. Instead, my server dials out to Cloudflare and then holds a secure tunnel open that allows for communication traffic between the worker. So the only thing in the entire universe that can reach my own bot is my website. So no one can come knocking on the door because there is no fucking door. I built a fortress for a picture editor. Oh, and the bot has to have multiple copies of itself, or sharding in the technical sense, because Discord makes you do that once you have your bot in enough servers. So there's a little manager process that watches all the shards for me. It's fine. Everything's fine.
1, 2.
So the first disaster that I faced was shards. Now, each shard will run as its own sub-process handling a specific number of Discord servers. Now, they're designed to be isolated, and they're not supposed to talk to each other. Why? I don't know. I didn't write the fucking repository. See, now that's all fine and dandy for, you know, your regular Discord bot developer, but me, I decided to be a little special in this case, and I decided that each user should be able to see not only the shard that their Discord server is served by, but the ping of that shard and the status of that shard. So here's the problem. In order to build that, I have to build one process that can communicate with every single shard across the network. The problem is each shard lives in its own process, which means that they can't fucking communicate. So I had to write an API into the Sharding Manager, which is the parent process that manages all the shards, that all it does is ask a question on the shard status every so often, waits for a response, stitches all of that information back together, bundles it, and sends it over to the front end API so it can then serve it to the user. For a colored dot to be accurate, I did all of that to make a fucking dot accurate. So the second disaster was the embed builder. Now, the rest of the fields, the rest of the text, the rest of the icons, everything else implemented into that worked beautifully, and I felt like a god building all of that. Then my buddy decided, hey, you know, while you're building this, can you make it so that way when you press a button or click an option in a drop-down menu, it can assign you a role? And that's where all of this fell apart, because it turns out that whenever you perform one of these actions, three things need to agree on what you're seeing here. First, the dashboard builder, so whatever you put in the actions menu. Then the preview has to agree with whatever you put in place. And finally, the bot itself has to serve this embed and magically make this button work in the first place. This is also when I discovered that Discord has a maximum limit of 5 options that you can introduce into a drop-down menu. All that can be toggling roles or assigning new roles, whatever it may be. All of that information has to survive the round trip coming from the dashboard to the bot, to the user, back to the bot, and performing whatever magical action you requested. I want to compare this as I spent 10% of my time actually building the dashboard and the embeds for the embed builder, and I spent the other 90% of my time just trying to figure out what the fuck actions are and how do I perform them. And that kind of leaves me in a state with about, I want to say 40% of this code base where, you know, it just magically works, and I'm not going to question how it works. I'm just going to pray to the gods that it continues to function in the future. Now, the third major disaster I faced here was permissions. Now, I could have done this really easy and just been like, hey, does this user have administrator perms on the server? Cool. Can they do anything? Sure, might as well. And, you know, chopped it up, 2 lines of code, been home by 5. But then I remembered who I was doing this favor for and realized that least permission was kind of going to have to be what I was going to work with here. They wanted everything from this role can open tickets but not close them. This role can manage tickets and view them but can't change configuration options. And this then spiraled down into another couple hours of what am I doing with my life? This then evolved into you can set it to one permission where, you know, one role can do everything involving this specific feature flag. And if you really want to, you can set it to the advanced permissions mode and manually assign specific parts of this feature that specific roles can perform and specific ones can't. So what this essentially means is every single time you want to perform an action on this bot, it not only has to check if you have the right roles, but the right sub permissions, the right major permissions. And then this just devolves into a multitude of different function checks that were in the code, which quite frankly, I barely understand how it works, and I wrote the thing. So I'm just praying that, you know, one of you magically figures out a bug and I can go in there and fix it, because I have not been able to think of every edge case for this thing. But least trust means trusting nobody, including your own code. So you're welcome now, me, for actions of past me. And for the 3 power users who will end up using my app, please go buy an API subscription. Sorry, I don't know what came over me there. But that leads me to the 4th disaster that I dealt with, and the one I'm actually kind of proud of, which is the Rust-based manager that sits here and spins up custom branded instances for users that decide they want to throw me a little extra money every month. So the original idea was actually based off of Sapphire's custom branded options that they have. And what I wanted to do was have a user go ahead and spin up their own custom instance that had all the Cressley branding and stuff removed, and allowed them to treat this instance as if it was their own. So I wrote the worker in Rust because I decided that if I was going to be sitting here spinning up little copies of the Discord bot everywhere, I didn't want my code to explode in some random memory overflow error, which I have a horrible problem with C. From there, whenever a user provisions a new bot, the worker will tell the proxy to proxy all the traffic coming from the dashboard for that specific server to that bot instance. And then from there, it'll carve out a nice little slice of the database specifically for that instance. And that ends up looking like a one button click turns into their own Discord bot running with a nice interface they can control it from. So essentially, I built a machine that all it does is take little copies of month and a half worth of effort, files off all the serial numbers, and then serves it out on the public, which I'm really proud of and really fucking scared of at the exact same time. Oh, and on a quick side note, there's a folder in here that contains the first version of this bot's code that's like old bots, I don't know, something bots. I guess I'm the bots guy now, who knows? Okay, I do want to be real for a second here. The second that you start letting strangers upload random images to your service, you open the door to a whole bunch of stuff that frankly is quite disgusting. So I decided to make it that every single image that was going to be uploaded to the platform was going to be screened against Cloudflare's CSAM tools, and any and all matches from there are immediately reported to law enforcement as not only am I legally required to do, but morally obligated to do. Not only that, but I made sure that the /screen tool, which is available not only in the dashboard, but in the bot itself, is a free tool that will be able to be used by everyone. I have no intentions at all of ever making this a paid feature, nor do I believe it should be. I do feel that a lot of projects skip on this, and it's kind of something important to me and should be important to you at the same time. All right, enough with the serious stuff. So why does an icon editor have a sharded Discord bot, a ticket system, unified case moderation system, custom commands, and a database with abandonment issues? Everything from there was just, I want one more piece. People want tickets? Fine, I'll add that. People want a single moderation system? Servers probably need that. Custom commands? They're probably going to need that too. Every bit of this project has just been one extra piece after one extra piece. But every step here makes sense. I essentially built a whole platform out of being scared to say the words out of scope. Now, would I do it again? Yes, I'm actually still working on it. It's open in the second monitor over here. Please help me. It's real, it's live, it's a Discord bot with an icon editor and a bunch of other random features I slapped together. That started as a weekend project, and now it's filing for emotional independence. The link is down somewhere in the description. Go put your little pictures on your Discord roles, and it's still the best feature, and I will fucking fight you over that. If you have any issues, feel free to open a ticket in the support server, and if you have any feature requests, we already saw how far this went, so help me God.